Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, March 6th, and we are on the European account. We have a Watch and Learn and play 30 Shaman cards. So we've got like 5 people on, so I can just watch and learn right now. And we also have to do a Tavern Brawl. So while we're doing this Watch and Learn, we can hopefully get through several bits of news. So our first bit of news we have is Rovio is in talks to sell its streaming service Hatch. The Angry Birds firm brings in several investors to discuss reducing its 80% stake. Hatch apparently is a premium game streaming service startup. I've never heard of it, so it clearly hasn't been successful in the United States. I guess what you could say here is a lot of the small-time streaming startup companies really failed to establish any kind of foundation, and so second to the market is now Nintendo with their streaming game service, and Xbox is way more successful than Nintendo with their streaming game service, and PlayStation had their streaming game service too, that's just is more successful than Hatch at least. But there's definitely like a lot of small companies that tried to do things like that, and even medium companies that tried to do things like that, and really the only one that I think has slightly succeeded is I guess it's the PlayStation one, is the only one that really streams. And see, that's part of the problem, is that there really should be a dividing line between you're playing the game through streaming. I know Google is trying some of that too through Chrome. So really PlayStation's the only one that has streaming services. It's just everything else has download services to, you can just download the game online and get a Games Pass basically, and that works way better. The truth is, I don't think, particularly in the case of video games, that streaming makes any sense at all. I think it uses more data by a long time. As somebody who uploads videos to YouTube every day almost, like, those videos are huge. Those files are huge. Yes, some people somewhere around the world could be watching my videos at the lowest resolution possible and maybe saving themselves a little bit of data. But Protocol 7 engaged. When you're playing a game in particular, you're going to see that same video and that same audio over and over and over again. It's going to be way bigger than if you just had something that could download the game once and launch it from a local machine. Like, streaming makes sense kind of for music and movies. It totally doesn't make sense for video games. And the idea of streaming was to make it so that you could play something that normally would require something like a PlayStation or an Xbox One to play on something much less powerful like a cell phone, and that really hasn't shown itself to be very popular or successful either, just because of controller issues and screen size issues. Moving on, I've kind of buried the lead. The big non-story here that eventually did turn into a story, and I'll try to not get into and cover this. So, let me just explain the situation as I understand it. Anybody who's been watching my channel for my Hearthstone streams knows we see all kinds of garbage put on Steam. There's all kinds of things that come on because of Steam Direct. And in previous instances, we've seen things listed and being allowed to make a Steam page, but never actually coming to the point where the game files were submitted or the game was actually available for purchase or anything like that. Clearly, there is a problem with Steam's system in the fact that there's no checks whatsoever as far as there's no checks or balances. Let's see if we can find somebody else that while we're doing this. Come on, spectate. There's clearly no system. You can put all kinds of clearly obvious, this should be looked at before it's approved and put in our database. There should be some kind of preliminary system to look at games, because people have made pages in the past that in no way should have been approved. Like, they're not trying to dance around the system at all. If there are any kind of spam filters or anything, they're terrible. And inherently, this is a problem with Valve too. Like, nothing gets done at Valve unless it's a Gabe Newell pet project, is what I've heard. And if they really want to get anything done, they have to hire out because of their flat, terrible business structure. And so, yeah, just nobody is fixing that problem, and they need to fix that problem because we've had the previous story like this was somebody put up and made a page where it was going to be an active shooter simulator on Steam, and that game never came out on Steam. It was never available for purchase. That being said, that got reported like it was available and for purchase on Steam by just bad journalists. Not only bad journalists in the video game mainstream media, but bad journalists in regular journalism were reporting on this game as if it was something that was real and anything more than just a collection of screenshots that had been made up. Like, fairly certain there was no game there. Alright, so that was our watch and learn. Let's go into the Tavern Brawl this time. This Tavern Brawl kind of sucks. So almost everything in this deck is kind of useless because it becomes a 1/1. So let's see if we can maybe make a Murloc deck. Let's see, other Murlocs, 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 Murlocs. Okay, that's probably enough Murlocs for that. Let's see. See if we can find anything that will summon. So yeah, I'm gonna take a break from talking about this story, which I've really just done the setup for. So apologies. Knife Juggler. Let's see. This, when this summons, it's still a 1/1. This probably is not too bad. That wouldn't work. Probably it's not one. Like, I'm trying here to do the best I can, but you know, probably maybe doing magnetic wouldn't be a terrible thought. Alright. Let's try that. Lock it in. So what's the new non-story? And it really is a non-story because we know this. And this really is very possibly, like, you can't know what the actual intentions of this developer was, but I would easily classify them as a troll that was putting out a troll game game page, not a real game. That there never was a chance this game was ever going to be on sale, and it's very important to point that out. A troll made a game page. Steam has a problem with letting people make game pages. That's as far as it goes.
None will survive.
Man, he does have that legendary that improves your hero ability if you have even cards or odd cards. I guess I just don't have Baku the Moon either in my deck in Classic. Interesting.
Move quickly.
Alright. This, and then this.
Dark path is my destiny.
Hit him, please, twice. There we go. But GameIndustry.biz has this article, and a lot of people have this article. GameIndustry.biz in general has an opinion piece that is completely unfair, and certainly the mainstream video game media has taken this as just an opportunity to attack Steam, and this, I feel personally, is coming directly from a place of being unhappy with the fact that Steam has adopted and most recently stuck to a mostly 100% free speech position on their storefront. They don't want to get in the middle of this fight, which is just going to keep coming again and again. They don't want to piss off developers of games or artists who really want to tell their tales or their stories. That being said, this game clearly was going to fall into the straight up trolling category, which I think that they've probably abandoned using that phrase because and this was made into a non-controversy enough that that Steam has put out on their own storefront a announcement that this game is not going to be sold on their storefront, and they're not going to allow it. And that was obvious to anybody with half a brain and anybody who was not trying to push an agenda. So this is all the setup. Let's talk about the game. Well, let's talk about this article. GameIndustry.biz has this article. Steam is in the rape fantasy business. Opinion. Upcoming visual novel highlights the problem with Valve's refusal to apply content standards to its storefronts. So they're very much doing it in a perspective of, because somebody was allowed to make a store page that was never ever had a chance of being approved and actually being sold on Steam, because of this one troll that very possibly, I mean, you don't want to get into conspiracy theory, but the conspiracy is out there when the person that tried to cause Adpocalypse 2.0 put out his video. He was doing it very maliciously and dishonestly. Like, that is the claim many people have made. I wouldn't be surprised if this troll who put out this Steam page game, the Steam game page, was doing it intentionally to be malicious. Like, it feels like an effort to be malicious. The description of the game, the terrible quality screenshots from just like basic Unity assets, clearly it was all designed to be as
The dark path is my destiny.
objectionable as possible, I guess is the right phrase to say. Like, this was totally an effort to push, at the very least, push the boundaries beyond what is reasonable. It is intentional, disgusting speech. Oh man, did I lose connection? Apparently I did. There we go. Okay, I lost it for a second there. So the quote here is in the About Game section. It says, control the choices of a menacing serial killer rapist during a zombie apocalypse. Verbally harass, kill, and rape women as you choose to progress the story. It's a dangerous world with no laws. The zombies eating flesh off warm humans and brutally raping them. But you are the most dangerous rapist in town. So, like, if you were going to make a game where you had an anti-hero character who engages in an abhorrent action such as rape, you're not just going to phrase it that way. This is way beyond what Hatred did, and Hatred was clearly intentionally dancing a line to get controversy to sell a bad game. This is not dancing a line. This is going 10 miles past the line into just disgusting speech. And in the end, I can't 100% say YouTube, no, not YouTube. I'm usually talking about YouTube in this case. I can't really say that Steam is a free speech platform as it is. It just isn't. It's a storefront. They make curation decisions. Their line was straight up trolling. This clearly falls into straight up trolling. Like, and it looked like garbage. And yeah, this opinion piece from GameIndustry.biz just goes on and on and on. It is 22 paragraphs long, whereas most game industry articles, GameIndustry.biz articles, are 3 paragraphs long. And see, when you see such a difference in how much people are writing about something, that tells me that they really wanted to write about that thing, which then makes, at least in my tinfoil hat mind, think, did they ask, welcome, or directly tell people, the person who made this game page, to post that on Steam? I wouldn't be surprised also if this was a direct attempt by a competitor. Like, that would be like malicious and probably illegal, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody in Epic is hiring some person to publish this stuff, to make that game page. The important thing to take away from this, and we'll see several other articles and talk about it today, just talking about the articles and how it wasn't really a story at all until Steam came out and said, yeah, we're not publishing this. That's pretty much all it boils down to. Steam commits to its old commitment of stopping straight up trolling games. And even at that, there's still plenty of troll games, in my opinion, and low effort games that are not getting kicked off Steam. Steam is still very, very generous and pro free speech as much as possible. And they've done a, I mean, they deserve a little bit of a pat on the back for shifting course and allowing the real visual novels that are actually designed with an intent to make a good product on Steam, instead of enforcing what was for a few months there a ridiculous standard of no visual novels set in a school or with anybody wearing a schoolgirl outfit was allowed. That was ridiculous and arbitrary. We're gonna move off this story for now, but we'll come back to it. Gematsu on the has an article. Control is Game Informer's April 2019 cover story. I don't know if that really is news or not, but I would like to see more information about Control. But that also means that I'm pretty much hyped. I'm on the hype train for Control, and I should get off that train because there's a very good chance Control is not good. Like, very, very good chance.
Float like a butterfly. Sting like a bee.
Yeah, none of these cards work the way they should. This is terrible. Like, anything with a battle cry to summon something just turns into a 1/1. So I can win because I've got more cards on the field, and that's about it. Moving on, we have a game on Steam, and it is also worth mentioning the reason why I only talk about games when they actually come out is because so many games, troll games or otherwise, just don't ever come out on Steam, which is the other story and controversy, is that yes, people are manipulating their release dates to make their game look like they are coming out in the next week, and then they change the release dates to be a week from next week every 7 days, so that they're constantly at the top of the coming soon division filter of the Steam store. We have a game here on Steam called Steel Division 2. I think this is actually pretty good. It's $30.99. I think the Steel Division series is fine. It's just kind of not the kind of game I would play. But maybe I should give this one a follow. Yeah. Let's be a little bit generous here and put Steel Division on the follow list. And then if I ever do decide I want to play a military sim game, at least I'm not jumping straight to Battlefront, which is kind of what I would do, because I would just be ignorant of some better options. So this, by putting military games on the follow list, I can say, oh, I know what the ones are that people like and people want to play. So yeah, for a long time people have been manipulating their release dates. It is yet another instance of people simply failing to have any kind of system in there. Like, it should be pretty easy to say your release date is locked in and you can't change it, but you can change your release date once every 30 days, or you can release your game early. Yeah, that's pretty much what it should be. Is like, if it is 28 days or 30 days before your like, you can change your release date once for free, and then if you have to change it again, you have to wait 30 days. And if that means that your release date is, you're going to push it back twice in that 30-day system, you're going to have to contact your Steam representative and get it approved, or you're going to have to just release the game early and get the news out via some other forum other than Steam storefront page, and that fixes that. Or, you know, you could get a little bit more strategic with it too. What you could do is you could have it so when you change your release date, you can change it as many times as you do, but by changing your release date, you're then filtered out of that forum. You're not shown. So that's the trade-off. Like but clearly there is some manipulation happening in this system. Next we have a game on Steam called Left Alive, which is already rated very negatively at 17%. It has Denuvo in it. It's from Square Enix. It's come out with like no information whatsoever. I believe this game, if I heard right on the Giant Bomb, they stopped streaming of this game in total on the PlayStation. Let's see what the negative reviews are. Let's see. I was really looking forward to this game since I'm a big fan of Front Mission franchise, but don't even bother with this game for a couple of reasons. Poor optimization on a 1080 Ti i70. Terrible graphics, can't even play the game due to constant crashes. Also, you can check the Japanese Amazon. The game is already like 50% off and also showing a rating of 1 or 2 stars. So this is just like the worst game to be seen released in a very, very long time. And this might be the indication of the beginning of the end of Square Enix. This could certainly be a case of where Square Enix is just putting out their last few games and then they're gonna give up. Or it could just be that Square Enix kind of consistently puts out bad games. Let's see if we can get a general idea of what they released. Well, they also released The Quiet Man, which was a kind of, they just published that. They Just Cause 4, which is mostly negative. Life is Strange 2, which is rated very positive. Tales of the Wedding Ring VR is in there if you have VR, that's rated positive. Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider is mostly positive. Boundless. Let's play this. Boundless. So yeah, Forgotten Anne. So just looking at their front page, there's a lot of things that Square Enix Japan really didn't work on, and the last 3 in particular are not rated good. So yeah, this might be the beginning of the end. They may just be wrapping up and giving up. Now that Final Fantasy 15 has been abandoned, yeah, you can certainly see some problems there. Like, they need a win. They need a shift in direction. Maybe a shift in leadership, probably. I'd like to actually win more than one win on one of these cavern brawls, but I'm not holding my breath. Next we have a game on Steam called Shift Shaft, which sounds like a dirty name. Looks like it's just a kind of generic platformer. I don't even know if I want to go as far as to say it's low effort. They did put some effort in this animation style, but there is definitely a palette problem here with just how this green color blends in with these green hills in the background, and there's just way too much green. up top. There's way too much monotone brown in this here, and the tree trunk of the brown is all the same too. So they want $5.39. That's asking way too much for this game, and I imagine it's probably barely 13 levels. It would be my guess. 33 achievements makes me feel like it's an achievement game. So yeah, that's not making it to the fall list.
Squire, attend me.
Ready, sir.
Float like a butterfly. Sting like a bee.
Let's see. Gamatsu has an article. Romancing Saga 3 remastered delayed to an unannounced release window in Japan. It's no longer planned for early 2019. So the Romancing Saga 3, which would be the Scarlet Grace JRPG series, has been delayed. If you want to kind of see what that looks like, we can do a web peek here and just show. Yeah, it's just an 8-bit JRPG style game. I think they're good. I think they're popular, but I don't think there's kind of anything else to say about it other than it's been delayed, which is kind of standard. Kind of standard for Japanese developers to promise a game date and then push it back. I don't know why they bother to promise a release date. They're just, you know what it is almost certainly it's a middle manager or low-level employee in Japan being told by their boss that the release date is this time, and those low-level employees or middle managers just don't have the spine, frankly. Like, culturally, Japanese people don't like conflict, so they just don't have the spine to say, no, we can't get it done, it's not gonna happen. So instead they say, yes, we can do it, we'll do it, yes, we'll endure it, and we'll put in the hours and get it done. And even the upper manager probably knows they can't do it, but they want to push them anyways. And then that middle manager or low-level employee will come back and just fall on his sword and go, oh, it's all my fault, I'm so sorry, please forgive me, we have to delay. It's just not like, it's just not like an honest approach to game making. And I'm sure a lot of business dealings happen that way in Japan. That's my guess, as somebody who doesn't live in Japan and really doesn't know that much about Japan business culture. That is my suspicion. Okay, what do we want to do? If we start with this, I think we're going to moving on, GameIndustry.biz has an article. A law firm is encouraging shareholders to sue Activision Blizzard over the Bungie split. Kuznicki, K-U-Z-N-I-C-K-I, Law joins a search for a lead plaintiff after publisher made, quote, material false and misleading statements. So the claim here is that the Activision Blizzard people in a shareholder meeting said one thing, like the CEO said one thing, and then they submitted something different to the SEC, and so they're upset. Let's see, the article continues. The complaint centers around the breakup between Activision, Blizzard, and Bungie. It doesn't really have anything to do with the layoffs. They're happy about the layoffs. So don't side with the shareholders ever in any instance. Let's see. This. go. Konznuki alleges that Activision, quote, made material, false, and or misleading statements and failed to disclose certain facts around the decision. In the firm's loss submission form, it claims Activision failed to disclose that the termination of Activision Blizzard and Bungie's partnership was imminent, or that would foreseeably have a significant negative impact on Activision Blizzard's revenues. And it's going to be kind of hard to question or prove that that was the only thing that impacted the revenue, because the layoffs are right around that time also.
You insist.
It further claims that as a result of Activision's Blizzard's public statements were material, false, and misleading at all times. There are details on how the shareholders can participate in the lawsuit on the forum. So, and then there's a for the record at the bottom of this article saying, a previous version of this story stated something wrong, so we corrected it. But they're not even labeling it as a correction, it's just a for the record, which is a bad journalism to deny that you made a mistake when you made a mistake. That's, well, it's just bad ethics in general. So yeah, the shareholders that in part led to Activision Blizzard trying to laying off 800 people are still not happy, and they want to sue Activision Blizzard for more money. And this seems like Activision Blizzard has found a way to spiral down the drain as much as possible. Let's see.
Float like a butterfly. Sting like a bee.
So now it's kind of a race of who can do the most damage first. Next we have a game on Steam called The Occupation, which is mixed reviewed. I thought I had seen some reviews of this and that it was pretty good, but it may have been from TechRaptor, and seeing that this is published by Humble Bundle, I wouldn't be surprised if TechRaptor was biased a little bit because they have dealings with Humble Bundle. And Fanatical and all of that. Same company. I'm willing, this game does look slightly interesting, although the graphics look pretty bad. I'm willing to put this on the follow point. It's $29.99, so that's pretty high. It's got a 64 on Metacritic. It might just be buggy. Let's see. It's like controls and bugginess and all kinds of problems. So it seems like it's performance issues, so this is a great point where the follow list would work well. Just put this on the follow list, give it a year to see if maybe they'd patch it and make it work. By the time I get around to looking at the wish list anyways. Do I want to draw more cards or do I want to leave this? I'm gonna leave this. So yeah, I'll put it on the follow list and we'll give it a chance to fix itself. Of course, that's really generous. The game should be totally playable, at least, if not completely bug-free on day one. Otherwise, it shouldn't be released. Alright, well, let's see if we can do this. So unless this hits him kind of twice, alright. There we go. See, Tank Raptor has an article, navigating political intrigue and ambition, a minute to power. I don't know if this is an actual video game though. Ambition is Ambition a minute to power is the entire name. It's a Kickstarter backed project. Looks like it's kind of a choose your own adventure novel, visual novel type game. I don't know why I should just call it a visual novel game. That's the most accurate description. Alright, can we do this? So here's what it looks like. Ambition a minute to power. Yep. I like the art style. It seems nice, not too anime focused either, and that's always nice to see. So it's a bunch of European-esque people, and it seems like it's a card game type game. I feel like I've seen a card game like this in the real world, and this is a digital version of it. Apparently though, it isn't out on Steam yet, so this is one of those hype articles. Like, unfortunately, when this does come out, I'll be slightly interested in looking at it. But it has to actually come out first. See, all I can really do is keep on putting up the pressure on the guy. Yeah, that's kind of all I can do.
Reporting for duty. Don't touch the air. Get down.
See, the funny thing here is I kinda should just spend like 2 mana to draw 1 more card. I kinda should. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Lover's Smile. This is a physics-based game. There's nothing in it that looks particularly interesting. Like, just basically emojis on a black and white background. Yeah. They want $1.19 for this game. It's in this giant bundle. It has 90 achievements. It's clearly an achievement game. So yeah, that's not making it to the list. Well, I guess that's a good thing that I didn't draw a card. Then if I seriously win with like 1 life, that'll be ridiculous. Yeah, this Tavern Brawl has really brought about a microscopic style of gameplay. This probably is how Hearthstone in its first year should have really played. Everybody should have been a 1-1 or a 0-1 or 1-2, 1-3. Even like a 10 mana minion should have been really low in attack and health. And they moved, in my opinion, slightly too fast. Too fast for their own good with the power creep. And now they're having to adjust via nerfing. See, if I can get just 2 more damage and kill this guy, I've won. Let's see. Komatsu has an article. The action platformer Overwhelm is coming to the Switch for April 4th. The Switch version adds an exclusive co-op mode.
The victory is yours.
Interesting. Look at this. I got 2 victories. But in all honesty, even if I got 12 victories, I don't think it's gonna reward me too much. If I had like 3 quick disconnects where I automatically won, I don't think that really matters. So yeah, here's what Overwhelm looks like. It's 8-bit pixel graphics, not anything particularly interesting. This looks interesting, this thumbnail certainly, but this definitely doesn't. So yeah. It's coming to the Switch, but I kinda don't care. Let's see. Was there an actual release date? It's coming to the eShop April 4th. Let's see. Do we want to do that?
Put this apple on your head. Job's done.
Okay. Alright, now let's do this. And then do this.
Dark path is my destiny.
I'll probably use this to kill that, but that's 7 damage in 2 turns. Let's see. GameIndustry.biz has an article. The ERA declares, quote, generation rent as ownership gives away to subscriptions in entertainment. Despite a slight decline, console spending remains the largest physical entertainment sector in the UK at about £756 million. So what they're claiming here is that they're trying to, the Entertainment Retailers Association is saying that this generation is renting via subscription services games instead of actually owning them. In the United States, at least, you were always licensing the game and you never really owned them. But it was pretty impossible for Nintendo to come to your house and take a controller, a cartridge out of your console and make it impossible for you to play it because there was no internet. Now that there is internet, it is pretty easy to revoke the license for always on DRM. Might as well draw a card. But yeah, that's maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing, maybe just the way things are going to be. Like, personally, I would not be happy with a system where I was just paying a monthly fee to play some games on Steam instead of purchasing and always owning the games on Steam, particularly since I've seen games that disappear from Steam, and that's the dangers. As a YouTuber or as somebody who's a bit nostalgic for some games and wants to play them when he wants to play them, I want all the options that I can possibly get. So I don't even know what to do here. Unless he can kill a couple more of my minions, I'm gonna have to struggle. Yeah.
The future is ours.
I wouldn't say that article is amazingly alarmist, but it is slightly alarmist. Right. So they're just trying to draw cards now. Just play the rightmost cards over and over again.
Runs out on me.
Interesting. Interesting thought. Okay. So let's do this. And do this. And do this. And then this, and then do this, and then do that, and then do that. And he can't really do anything here. Like best bet, you kill this or you kill this. But even then, at that, I think I've still won. And if I get anywhere close, these goblin bombs. Yeah, he's playing some strategy here to draw more cards. I don't know. I see the idea there, certainly. That's what I'm doing while I'm playing a warlock, but I don't know if it really works. Meanwhile, we have a game on Steam called Greater, which looks like a platformer shooter game of some sort. Kind of a bullet hell, maybe shooter. Not even sure, but it looks so ugly that I'm not really cool with going any further to investigate it. Yeah, it's a shooter with some things, some abilities. It's a platformer shooter. Yeah, that's right. They want $1.99 undiscounted. This is an English and German game. And look at that, I got another victory. Alright, let's jump back in here.
Gul'dan versus Rexar. Let the hunt begin. Your soul shall be mine.
I don't know how many games I have to cover today, actually. May not be as many as I think. Hey, we've got a bunch of Murlocs. Right. Okay. Guess we could start with that. How did this guy get back? Oh, he just adapted himself and adapted himself. Interesting move. Interesting move. Next we have a game on Steam called Chocolate Makes You Happy Lunar New Year. The Chocolate Makes You Happy series of games have been flooding Steam. They want 74 cents for it. There's a bundle for $5.27 for 12 different games. Or you can buy every game from this developer that also makes the A-Maze series. These are achievement games. And yeah, this is how hands-off Steam is. You can still flood Steam with games that give you 100 achievements just fine, and they don't care. Like, clearly they have to know what's happening. Right. If I do this,
like a butterfly.
And then do this, and then end the turn. Let's hope this works.
Warriors of the frozen wastes.
So Stormwind and Lich King. I'm not sure if I've got enough here. So, play this. Charge? Perhaps? See if we can do this. This would be plus 2. This would be charge. And this is plus 1. So I attack here. And then attack there. And then attack that guy. And then the turn. Next we have a game on Steam called 7th Sector, which looks kind of like the Limbo game. Like a puzzle, platformer, scary, hidden shadows and dark game. It's already rated positively, so I think it deserves a follow. Yeah. Seems like you're probably playing as something that's microscopic. They want $11.04 discounted. And 25 achievements seems fine for that price. Not sure how long this game is either. But yeah, that deserves a follow at least. Just draw a card first. Do this.
How long?
And this.
How long can this go on?
Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Spacebound, which looks like it's Pac-Man with spaceships. It looks horrible. I don't see any reason why you'd want to play this. Even if this isn't a Pac-Man game, which it is, and if it was like some kind of rogue-like game, it still looks horrible. They want $10 even for that. That is way, way too expensive. Yeah, that one's not making it to the wish list. I think I'm gonna lose here. I don't know. I mean, the problem here is I'm exhausted cards. I've been drawing cards, which has been lowering my life. I have to just keep on doing this. If I can't just turn this around. Moving on, we have a game on Steam, Save Thine Kingdom. This looks like it's basically a Roblox clone. I don't see anything here that really interests me. They want $9.99 for this game. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's not making it to the fall list. Even if there was a really, really good game that looked like that, I think just the fact that it looks that way is going to cause me to be so biased against it that I wouldn't see it. Yep. And I'm about to lose. We have a game on Steam called Super Space Jumpman, which looks like it's a platformer using gravity and spinning planets. It's a slightly different idea on an Infinite Runner platforming game, but clearly it's a mobile port also. They want $1.19 for it discounted. It's in a couple of bundles. That's 24 achievements. See, that's not a game that deserves 24 achievements. It's very black and white and looks just low effort visually. I'd like to see a lot more color for a game like this. But yeah, I don't think I'd want to play that style game anyways. Alright, well, we got 3 wins. That's better than what we did on my main account where I got exactly 0 wins. So I got 0 wins before. I got 25 dust and a pack. We know we're guaranteed a pack. So I'm probably going to get like 25 dust, maybe 15 gold and a pack. 25 dust, 35 gold. I was 20 gold off and a pack. So for the extra effort there, for the 6 games I played, 3 of which I lost and 3 of which I won, I only got 35 gold. Which is, I guess, better a better return rate than just playing ranked and winning 3 games to get 5 gold. I'm not even sure the game still does that, frankly. It's still a very greedy game. Very hard to work and play and unlock things as a free-to-play experience. I got basically nothing from that pack, and I'm not even sure if I'm missing any cards on the European account. There's probably a legendary I'm missing in the classic account, so I could see maybe unlocking that and being happy about that, but I imagine those two packs are just going to get turned into dust, and this account has a lot of extra dust anyways. One thing I realized though, okay, 2 of those cards are new, is since I am sitting on dust and nerfs are coming, I should look at what the cards that are going to be nerfed are and craft them. So apparently I didn't have a second Flash of Light in the classic card, or a second Feral Spirit in the classic deck, or something here, or something here. I don't know. The game is so glitched and says things are new when they aren't. So like, where are we as far as missing cards that are in the classic deck that are going to be nerfed? Because those is what I should craft. Not sure. There's a lot of epics here, so I couldn't just craft an entire collection. And so when the next expansion comes, I think we're still going to be in a place where we are going to try to open 25 packs of classic. We may not open any regular packs, any of the new expansion packs at all on the European or Asian account, because we also have to save our gold for other things. So yeah, some of these are going into the Hall of Fame, or some of the classic cards, maybe none of the ones we're actually looking at, and I can't have quite a complete collection. If I open 25 packs, I still don't think I'd be really close. So yeah, off screen I am gonna have to see which cards are getting nerfed. None of these look quite like they are the ones, so I may already have in the European account all the cards that are going to be nerfed already too. So but theoretically that's the right thing to do, is craft them with dust before the nerf, and then get rewarded the dust when it goes in the Hall of Fame. And then at that point it's just a consideration of, do I want to disenchant cards in the Hall of Fame, which I probably could do right now, honestly. I haven't actually seen what do I have in the Hall of Fame. I could disenchant this for 100 dust. I could disenchant this for 20 dust. I only have one of those. Interesting. So I guess that is a thought too, is how many of these cards could I just potentially get rid of to try to have enough dust to play the new cards. Like, I could probably just get rid of all of the wild things on the European and Asian account. That's something that would take a lot of thought, though. I'd really have to think about it, but it is possible. It is totally reasonable and possible to just disenchant everything in wild, say I'm only going to play standard, craft a complete standard collection. In the long run, if you try to convert back from a standard only account to a wild account, you'd be paying a lot more dust, but in the short run it probably would work. And so we just need to play Shaman class cards, and so yeah, let's do that and continue with the news. So we've got a game on Steam called Nano Driller that looks like it's kind of just a low effort fly around, a way too zoomed in camera area. I kind of assume that what happens is the walls spin. No, not really. You're just flying around. Almost feels like a Flappy Bird game with a spaceship. This is $1.49 discounted. It has 11 achievements. I wouldn't call it an achievement game. I'd just call it a boring looking game. Alright. Shaman cards are what we want to play. And we're back to playing regular priced and regular leveled cards, so it'll take a little bit of adjustment there. Let's see. Gamma Citra has an article. Get a job. Phosphor Studios is hiring a UI artist. That job is in Chicago, Illinois. Let's just end the turn. Let's see. This one. Gamatsu has an article. Love R. I guess that's how you pronounce that. Love R. Story event level 1-1. Nanatsu Higadera gameplay. Water gun fights and silly faces. So, it's a love simulation game. So, kind of a visual novel, I would bet. It's coming out for the PS4 on March 14th in Japan. I'll watch this trailer and see if there's anything more to comment on it. The anime girl there in what is a school swimsuit, as it's described in Japanese. So this is kind of a first love visual novel game. It's my guess, at least. Like, as much as like the Walking Dead games very, very much were visual novel games too, they just depicted themselves slightly differently. Yeah, you seem to be choosing. Let's do this, I guess. Yeah, this entire trailer is just the girl talking to you, and you talking back. And at the end of the trailer, she started doing some kind of hand gestures. I don't know, twisting her wrists while having slightly clenched fists. I don't know what that's supposed to be. It seems like there are several different characters in this game, so maybe you're going through different stories trying to make the girls fall in love with you. It seems to be kind of generic as far as the game.
Take shelter.
And let's do that.
The calm before the storm.
And in there. I want to play these guys yet. Let's see. The game says it has 6 heroines in it. Yeah, it's probably such a generic game that I doubt it would come to the West, and I wouldn't be surprised if Sony found some reason to be upset with it, even as it seems to be kind of nothing. See, the weird thing here is I want to get into a rant, and I'm gonna try to avoid actually doing it, but a game like that, I could see people having problems with because it's around just the subject of young love, puppy love, falling in love, and romance. Meanwhile, those same type of people that are upset about that probably often are found to let their kids play things like GTA and highly violent, mature rated games that kids shouldn't be playing and have been labeled that kids shouldn't be playing. But they don't care about violence. They only care about anything that implies love, that might imply at some point sex. That's just like this ridiculous, undiscussable, untouchable subject that constantly people are pushing a puritanical view on.
Don't mess with me.
Moving on, though, we have a game on Steam called Land of the Void, which seems almost like a Diablo style of game, but I don't think it is. I think it's more of like a chess positioning game venture with some RPG elements. I'm not sure if this even supports English. No, it doesn't. It has an English title. It certainly looks English, but it's early access. It's $6.29 discounted, and it's a Chinese game. So this is the kind of Chinese game that, if it was translated, looks a lot better than a lot of other Chinese games, but only if it's translated, and it still does kind of feel like it's all over the place. When you see this screenshot and you see all these items, you think, okay, this is an RPG game. But then when you see this screen and its positioning, you're like, okay, this is some kind of tactical RPG. But then you see this screen, is this walking around the overworld, or is that doing something different? And then what is this screen? Is that walking over the overworld? Okay.
There is little time.
Let's hurry up.
Don't mess with me.
Take shelter.
In my turn. I want to continue to play Shaman cards if I can. Let's see. He's taking a sweet time to play. Come on. Come on. Alright. Over here we have an article from Gamatsu. Killer Queen Black is coming to Xbox One, joining the previously announced Switch and PC version. It's an 8-bit platformer. I think you can fly in this game. Let's see. Q4 2019 is the release date. I don't think I was interested in looking at the game last time I saw this. For the screenshots, yeah, it does look like it's a kind of joust, platforming, flying game, but it's almost like a one-screen fighting each other game. More like joust than a side-scrolling experience. I don't know if there's a way to spin this per se, but in Steam's continued hands-off of games that they release, the next game we have on Steam is tagged with nudity and sexual content, and it's called Continuous Girl. And we'll just do a quick family-friendly peek. So you have a lot of bra and underwear's match 2 happening with an anime girl in the background, and the anime girls, they look fine. For a second there, I thought you were actually selecting the different color of outfits that the girls were wearing, but that's not really what's happening here. Continuous Girl is $1.39 discounted. It's English and Chinese. It's not worth it, though. Like, there's probably about 15 images here that you're getting for nothing. It's English and Chinese game, and this is what I would call a low effort game. Like, all it is just match 2 with pictures behind it. But I do want to point out, Steam didn't censor or stop that at all. They let the company sell it, and for the people that want to buy it, it's there. So that didn't come up to a point of straight up trolling, which honestly that game is not a straight up trolling game. That is a game that is very honest about what you're going to get, asking for a reasonable price. I think I'm having internet trouble today, and they're somewhat delivering on what they're claiming they're going to deliver on. It's not particularly a good game, but it's not to the level of what I describe as extremely low effort either. Moving on, we have a Gematsu article. The Alliance Alive HD Remastered has been announced for PS4, Switch, and PC, due out this fall in Japan. I'm not sure what Alliance Alive is. It first launched on the 3DS for Japan in January 2017, followed by the West in March 2018. I guess it was a 3DS game. There's a big gap in 3DS games because I never owned a 3DS. Like, I stopped after, I think, a Game Boy Advance. So any game that has come out for a mobile platform, or a Nintendo mobile platform since the Game Boy Advance, I have no idea. But apparently it was popular enough to get some PC releases. I don't know. I kind of like this art style just because it's a little bit different. Like, this doesn't look as samey as so many other games. So if the game kind of looks like this, I don't know how that would actually play, but it's something. And if it's getting an HD remaster, it can't be that bad. And see, I may just have to hard crash out of this connection because I don't think there's another way. Gamma Sutra has the same article. We already talked about this. There's confusion around an unofficial adaptation of 1 Hour, 1 Life, says developer. Basically, the developer put out his software with no license whatsoever, it seems, and says it's in public domain, and now he's upset because it's being used by people even though he said he put it out in public domain. So he didn't know what he was doing, basically, and now he's complaining about it. So I mean, you really can't blame anybody but yourself there. You should have potentially, if you're making games and you're trying to sell it, you should have talked with other people, talked with a lawyer, understood what public domain means, understood the difference between a Creative Commons license and public domain, or a different types of license or copyright claim. This is stuff that very possibly they need to teach to all programmers and all college levels, and possibly even all programmers and all kids in general in high school. Maybe there should be a just business law class that everybody is required to take to understand the basics of what the laws are. It wouldn't be terrible if there was a business and criminal law class everybody had to take so they knew what the laws were. Let's see. Moving on, we have the Nintendo mobile game, I guess. Fire Emblem Heroes adds Beyond Darkness heroes Lu, Su, Thay, and Idun which, okay. This is the smartphone game. We've got some more Nintendo smartphone game announcement stories at some point. Well, let's see. What can we do? Can't really do that. So all we can really do is quit. And then launch back into the European account. And hope this works. Otherwise, this is going to be a boring stream. I could probably wrap up pretty quickly if I just stopped looking at games and left them for Friday, but there's no reason to go long on Friday. That's like the worst day to go long on. Alright, try this again. Next we have a game on Steam called Real Fishing VR. I could see this, yeah, fishing, and this feels like there's a lot of polish here on a fishing experience in VR. I've seen a lot of fishing games on Steam that have been pretty bad, and a few that look really good and then play really badly. The problem with this, even though it looks great, is it's in VR. It requires VR. But if you do have VR, $7.79 seems like a decent price, discounted. Says it's Japanese, Chinese, so it's possibly a Chinese game, but it might be good. If you had VR, I'd say put this on the follow list. Is there a reason for me to do this? No, because frankly, if I am going to play a fishing game, I'm going to try and play one that doesn't support just VR. I suppose it's kind of ridiculous. I've never thought about this. I should probably just get rid of all the VR games because there's a lack of relevancy there. Like, if I'm covering a VR game, I'm telling maybe 1 or 2 of my fans who have VR that this game is worth watching, worth playing. Whereas if I'm playing a PC game, I'm telling all of my fans. So it's such a limited audience. I really should just give up on VR in general, as this is not something that I should play. This is not the style of game I should try and cover. Gametsu has the Famitsu review scores, issue 1579. The scores are in. Anthem is a 32 out of 40. This is 4 scores, giving a score between, I believe, 0 and 9 or 10, maybe. I guess it's gotta be 0 out of 10. Famitsu being kind of well known for not giving perfect scores with their system. So Anthem is 32 out of 40, Ape Out for the Switch is 32 out of 40, Blade Arcus Rebellion from Shining for the PS4 and Switch was given a 28 out of 40, Destiny Connect for the PS4 and Switch was given a 29 out of 40, Kinka Bancho Otome Second Rumble for the PS Vita is given a 31 out of 40, and Pilot Sports for the Switch was given a 26 out of 40, and Rotating Brave for the Switch was given a 27 out of 40. Almost half of those games, if not more, are not games that even came out to the West or are likely to come out to the West, so so that's a weird position to bother to even cover that. So I'll have to think about whether it's worth the effort to cover Famitsu review scores going forward. TechRaptor has an article, Nintendo Switch Online March games are Kid Icarus and Star Tropics. So, yeah. I never played Kid Icarus. I probably should go back and play it at some point. I definitely played Star Tropics. My question about Star Tropics is it must be modded in some way, because there's a code that came on a piece of paper in the manual that you had to soak the paper in water, and the game tells you to do it
What to do?
at a certain point to get that code. So I don't know how they're going to deal with that. In all fairness, I would also say that Star Tropics is probably not a game worth playing. I don't know if Kid Icarus is really worth playing either. Honestly, for the NES collection, there's probably about 400 NES games that came out of mention, and I would say maybe 15 worth playing once. Japanese version, I think, is getting Fire Emblem, Shadow Dragon, and Blade of Light, and Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light is the first game, and the other is Yi Ar Kung Fu and Kid Icarus. So the question is about Star Tropics. And they did not ask the important question, Tech Raptor, I would say. They failed to ask, what about the code? Like, because that's going to kind of suck if you have to go look up the code online. Anyways, moving on, we have a game on Steam called Game Studio Simulator that's got major black bars on the side, so clearly it's a mobile game. Looks like a cheap Chinese simulator game of no real interest. $1.79 discounted. English and Chinese. Yep, that's not making it to the list. Remember, right now we're just really trying to play the shaman colors. Next we have a game on Steam called Fold, which looks like it's a kind of 3D puzzle game. I really hate this background. Like, this background looks so objectionably bad that I really can't see myself being willing to play it. And it's the same background throughout the whole thing. There might be a decent, like, single screen Unity puzzle game here, but they want $2.54 discounted, and that's just so ugly. This greenish background, yeah, that's not gonna cut it. Okay, what do we want to do? We could do this. We could do this. We could end the turn. Let's see. Next we have a game on Steam called Tamashi, which looks like a horror game. This looks like there's a little bit of detail in the background, but then you've got some tile sets here, so I'm 50-50 on this. I don't know. I don't know if this is something or I want to play or not. It's $4.24 discounted. English and Portuguese, Brazil. I think this deserves a follow. Like, it looks like it's probably a Super Meat Boy, Binding of Isaac style platformer shooter game. I might be willing to give it a try, or it might just be just a little too hard for me. Certainly any of those Super Meat Boy style games, they do run into that risk of just not being something I feel like I can play, or not being something I can play. But I'll put it on the follow list. Gamma Sutra has this article, Steam's popular upcoming list may actually be hurting developers. We already talked about this before. The issue was brought up by No More Robots Micros, a former Gamma Sutra editor. So, of course, they're promoting their friends' complaints, who explained how the feature could potentially be manipulated, intentionally or not, by developers to create an unfair advantage. We've known that we've known this, we've seen it happen. It's just a thing Steam needs to work on and Valve needs to work on, and they haven't done it. So, I mean, what can you really say? They'll get to it eventually, or they'll never get it. The quote here is, quote, here's the thing you can set, quote, any date for your game's release in the Steam backend and it means nothing. You can set a date, let it go by, then you can set another date, let it go by again. Setting this date has no meaning except for appearing in the upcoming list. Developers can manipulate the system so their game shows up over and over in the upcoming list, leaving titles which are actually coming out to soon be pushed back from the list on the front page. Steel Division 2 is listed as an example. Of course, inherently, a lot of this just comes from developers wanting Steam to promote their games or give their games in particular special promotion, when that's not really what Steam does. Like, the thing here is, if your game is good, it should be highlighted to the people who are most likely to want to play your game on the front page. If your game is garbage, then people that don't want to play those kind of games should not see it at all. And Steam has made some changes there. They have certainly pushed what was the upcoming list into the popular, instead they've made a popular upcoming games list, and that's what they're focused on. So they have put work into this, but more could be done. It is a simple fix in any database to say this date that you're putting in for your game release has to be at least set in the future, and a email or counter needs to be ticked every time somebody changes their address, and it would be super their date. It would be super easy to like add just a tick mark, a check mark that says, has this date been changed? If the date has been changed, then don't put it on the popular upcoming list. That would be the easiest thing. It really would only take a programmer maybe a day to program that. So yeah, Steam could do it if anybody in Valve could be told to do any task without it being Gabe Newell's direct orders. Inherently, and this is a sad thing to say, it might be better if Valve was bought out by Microsoft or some other company. It really might be. I don't know if Gabe Newell would ever allow that, but you know, Gabe Newell gets hit by a truck tomorrow, it probably could happen. Microsoft is the opposite problem of Valve, because Microsoft doesn't get anything done because there's too much management control, and Gabe Newell worked at Microsoft, and now he's he made a company that went the exact opposite direction. But there needs to be found a middle ground. There needs to be some corporate structure. There needs to be goals and plans and a general direction in which people are given tasks to do and expected to do it, and it doesn't seem like that really exists. Moving on, Gematsu has an article, rumor a discless Xbox One is due out in May. Allegedly it's going to be called the Xbox One S All Digital Edition, which would be XOS ADE, which does not spell anything, or XBOS ADE. So, like, not much of a name there. The all digital edition idea makes sense, but then why are you calling it an Xbox One S? Why not instead just call it an Xbox all digital edition and brand it as its completely separate release? Not in the Xbox One family at all, even if it is just an Xbox One S. There's a slight concern here if this really gets announced. Like, I think the timing is wrong for Microsoft to do this. I think they should have waited till E3 to announce any new consoles, and maybe that's exactly what they're doing, and this rumor has just gotten out early. But if Microsoft really does try to push the all digital, always online DRM concept that they wanted the Xbox One to be when it was first being announced, if they're trying to sneak that in again, this is going to be like a blatant attempt at that, and it's probably not going to work unless this all digital edition sells for $50. $50 plus you have to have a Xbox or online Xbox Live account or Games Pass tied to it also. So you have to have Xbox Live and Games Pass. So then maybe that bumps it up to $110. So yeah, $110 comes with a year of Games Pass, comes with a year of Xbox Live. Maybe then it sells as a cheaper second unit option for people or for an audience that hasn't bought a console or thought about buying a console. But I don't see it selling gangbusters. I think it's going to really be minimal amount of sales, probably just to get rid of Xbox One S's more than anything, just to get rid of the inventory before the Xbox 2 or whatever that is comes out. GameIndustry.biz has the same article. Developers are manipulating Steam's popular upcoming list, which I don't think that's accurate. I think GameIndustry.biz is actually wrong here. I think they are manipulating the upcoming games list, not the popular upcoming games list. There's kind of a big difference there. If there is a way to manipulate the popular upcoming games list in the same way, that's slightly a bigger problem, but not by much. Valve's, the subtitle on this is Valve says it's working on the problem but wary of making promises, which is, you know what, always a good idea. Be wary of making promises that you very possibly can't deliver on. See, TechRaptor has an article here. Robo Instructus is a puzzle game with a realistic programming and a cool robot. This is probably one of these hype early games. Yeah, full game launches in summer. So we'll come back in summer and see if Robo Instructus is anything different than several other programming games that look very much like that. Alright, let's hit this.
Take
this.
shelter.
Next we have a troll game or low effort game called Border Control, which says it's coming out March 6th. Well, it's out, I guess. $17.99. This is an argument certainly against the way Steam Direct works. Steam Direct needs to be rethought. The fact that somebody got this through, this is a straight up troll game. This clearly is a straight up troll game, and yet it got through. So somebody needs to look at every game before it gets approved in any of the public repositories that depict or indicate a game might at some point in the future be listed on the Steam store. And definitely it shouldn't be a point where you can just pay $100 and put a troll game up and make it all the way. And I imagine a lot of these developers put these games up the day of, and that's the problem. There should be a mandatory wait period, a mandatory checking period. I suppose YouTube might make the same argument, and I certainly wouldn't be happy about that, but if YouTube says you have a waiting period of a certain amount of days in which we have to look at every single one of your bits of footage before it can be monetized, that would be very painful. But YouTube does kind of have a waiting period before your channel can be monetized in the first place. A very, very long waiting period of basically forever, because you have to get 4,000 watch hours and 1,000 subscribers. That's basically forever for a small time new YouTuber. Moving on, we have a game on Steam called Luxor Solitaire. I think I'm done playing solitaire games. This just looks like Pyramid Solitaire, frankly. Yeah, I don't see any reason why I'd need to cover or play this game. It's $4.24 discounted, English, French, and German. Looks like it's a fine game, but it's too expensive too.
I wonder.
Let's see. Elemental. Play this. And that.
Job's done.
And in return, let's see. Next, Gematsu has an article. Music-driven, hand-drawn shoot-'em-up Freedom Finger announced for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC. This looks slightly interesting, but it's coming out in 2019, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this one. I probably need to watch the trailer. And see, I need to decide whether I want to go for a third recording. I guess we have to. We still have not done any of the Asian accounts. So yeah, this game Freedom Finger has a Steam page. But I kind of want to wait until it comes out, so yeah. I'll get back to talking about that when it actually happens.
The calm before the storm.
Let's see. Gematsu has an article, Days Gone pre-launch previews, gameplay, and screenshots. I'm not sure if Days Gone is really going to be a game anybody's really interested in, but they've got some more trailers out, at least for the Japanese audience.
I wonder.
Trying to hype up the game for PS4. Apparently it's, I don't even know if Days Gone is coming to any other consoles or PC, come to think of it. Overlord, not the Overlord I was thinking about, is now available for Xbox One. Interesting. I thought they were talking about the old Codemasters game, Overlord, but apparently this is a 6 Degrees of Freedom shooter. I don't know what this is gonna do, so I'm gonna just play it. 3 damage to all enemy minions. 6 damage to enemy heroes. Restore 12 health. Let's see. Let's go ahead and do this. There we go. Yeah, interesting that there's another game called, oh, this game is actually called Overload, not Overlord. I misread it. Alright. Here's some, what I would imagine is probably not true news. I hate to use the phrase fake news, but GameIndustry.biz has an article, "The Influencer is Dead, Long Live the Influencer." Latest analysis shows the top 10 influencers account for 80% of the yearly view growth, but a spot in the list is not secure year on year. I think another part of this analyst was that of the 23 most popular games played, like all but 21 of them were Battle Royale games, and there was also, I think, a factor there of a lot of them were Fortnite in particular. So I can't kill that. So what do we want to do? That one? That one? That one, and that one, and the turn. As a quote, yeah, Twitch, however, is still yet to be totally utilized by publishers, developers, or consumers. That's kind of an understatement. I will leave it to your own personal opinion if you think that the biggest of the streamers, I have heard Ninja has lost a lot of his followers from his peak and such, but the idea that influencers are just magically no longer influencers is ridiculous. It would be better to sell people on the idea that influencers were never influencers in the first place, because I think a lot of that is probably true. But also, this is a games journal site basically just slandering their competition, because people know, or the games journal sites know, that very few people are actually going to read articles about games these days, and they'd rather just see a streamer play it and get an idea of what the game is. Alright. Gamma Sutra has this article, and we talked about this earlier, and I said we were going to talk about it more, and then I didn't run into any more articles talking about it. But they have Valve bans sexual violence game from Steam, but stops short of condemning it. Valve has put the kibosh on the Steam launch of an adult game that censors around committing violence and sexual assault to women amid a zombie apocalypse, saying that After, quote, significant fact-finding and discussion, the game was ruled to be a bad fit for the platform due to the fact that it possessed unknown costs and risks. So this was a 3D visual novel calling itself Rape Day, which, I mean, the thing here is this should have been banned a lot quicker, and it should have never been caught in a news story. It really is a non-story because people in the know, and every single one of these journalists should know, that Valve has consistently been way too hands-off about making store pages. And that's really all this is this is just somebody made a store page. But I don't think they are going for their illegal or straight up trolling quote anymore. I think they're trying to be more adult and mature about it, and that's why the phrase possesses unknown cost and risks appears. And frankly, you could probably make a good game if you were making a good game that had these elements in it, but they wouldn't be the selling points of your game. It really wouldn't be. Because, yeah, that's just not how things work. And so Valve is a curator. They're doing their best, it seems like, these days to be hands-off and be mostly free speech, and that's why they get attacked a lot by journalists, video game journalists in particular. But I think they're kind of doing good. After basically 6 months straight of complaining about Valve being silent and censoring Japanese visual novels, they got on the right path. And the one thing I don't want to see here is a backslide into just not allowing legitimate games on their platform because of the actions of a troll. GameIndustry.biz has the same article. Valve removes Rape Fantasy game from Steam. These are all going to be the same articles. Your best bet is just to go to the Steam update developer page. I saw it on the Steam RSS feed for their store, and read it directly, their response from that. Let's see, is there anything else that needs to be talked about? No, I don't think so. So we're about 24 minutes over on this recording. I'm gonna take a small break, and then we'll start another recording from the Asian account. Anyways, as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want to friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wishlist. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.